Hey everybody, it's Rykard here again, back with another black and white Pokemon analysis. And yes, I am feeling better today, if you can tell by my voice. But anyways, today we're going to be discussing the Anteater Pokemon known as Kuitaran. So let's get started by taking a look at its typing, abilities, and stats. So first off, Kuitaran is pretty much your basic mono fire type Pokemon, meaning that it has standard fire type weaknesses and resistances. As for the abilities, the first one it gets is known as Gluttony, which is a useful ability because it allows you to consume pinch berries such as a Salac berry or Pitaya berry at 50% of your health instead of the usual 25% of your health. So this can be used in a variety of ways, mainly because of the fact that you can pretty much just be hit by one attack and then that be below half your health, and therefore your berry will activate. So it makes it significantly easier to activate without the help of like a substitute or something like that, because you can pretty much just have your opponent hurt you instead. If you survive the hit, you'll obviously get the berry to activate. As for its next ability, it's known as Flash Fire, which is a well-known ability that makes it so that you are immune to fire-type moves, and that every time a fire-type move is used against you, you gain you gain a 1.5 boost to your fire-type moves. So once they use a fire-type move against you with Flash Fire ability, you'll now be doing more damage with your own fire-type moves. So that's really cool, and also allows you to get immunity to fire, as I said before, which can be very helpful on teams that are either weak to fire or you have a Pokemon on your team weak to fire that you can easily switch Kuitaran in to counter. As for its last ability, it is known as White Smoke, which is a pretty cool ability that makes it so that your stats cannot be lowered. It's pretty much the same as Clear Body, except the fire type version. So it's a really cool ability to have if you want to make sure that Kuitaran's stats don't get lowered. As for those stats, though, the first one it gets, for its defenses, it has 85 HP, coupled with 66 defense and 66 special defense, meaning that it doesn't have the best defenses in the world, but the fact that its HP is higher than other Pokemon that have similar defensive stats is helpful. So it definitely allows Kuitaran to possibly be able to survive longer in battle just because its HP is higher, thus giving it some kind of okay buffer for its low defenses. As for its attacking stats, though, it has 97 physical attack and 105 special attack, meaning that both are very usable and can allow this Pokemon to attack effectively from both the physical and special side. Kuitaran generally learns more special moves, though, so probably that would be the way to go, but also, I mean, its physical attack is nothing to completely ignore because it is pretty high, so you can definitely run a physical set as well. And lastly, its speed is kind of unfortunate at being only at 65 because it does have good attacking stats but kind of low defenses, and with those kind of stats with low speed, you really don't gain a lot. So it's really a bummer, and this Pokemon also is unfortunate in the sense that it can't learn Nitro Charge to boost its speed. So that's one of like the main turnoffs, I guess, of Kuitaran, but it's still pretty cool in its own right. So don't make that one bad thing completely shut you off when it comes to wanting to use this Pokemon. But that is it for its stats, so let's start looking at a couple of move sets that I thought of. So this first set turns Kuitaran into a pretty successful mixed attacker. So first we're going to give it a hasty nature to increase its speed but lower its physical defense. And then for the ability, we're going to be making use of Gluttony as a way to activate our Pinch Berry, which in this case is a Salac Berry, earlier than we normally would be able to, and thus giving Kuitaran a necessary boost to speed in order to allow it to do more damage or quicker than normal because of the fact that its speed isn't that great, as I kind of said before. But for the EVs, we're going to put 4 into attack to give you 1 more point into that, 252 into special attack to give you the highest special attack you can get with a hasty nature, and then 252 EVs into speed to give you max speed. As to the item, as I said before, we are going to be using a Salac Berry. For the moves, though, the first one we're going to be making use of is Claw Sharpen, as a way to increase our physical attack and our accuracy. And obviously, because we aren't putting any EVs into physical attack, except for that one point, Claw Sharpen is kind of necessary to allow you to attack from the physical side, but also the accuracy boost is kind of the most important part because it'll allow the moves that we're going to be using on the special side to hit more often. And in this case, it's either Fire Blast as kind of like the main, most powerful move that you could get with a fire type for the most part, or Purgatory, which is a new move that has, I think, 100 base power, only 50 accuracy, but it's an automatic burn. So it's kind of like the fire type version of Zap Cannon, but instead of paralysis, you get an automatic burn. So with Claw Sharpen, though, that will definitely allow Purgatory to have greater accuracy and hit more. So that's always a plus. And even though it doesn't have the power Fire Blast gives you, it does give you the automatic burn, which is always a plus because this could kind of be like a substitute for having a Pokemon with Will-O-Wisp on your team, since Purgatory can essentially do the same thing and deal out a bunch of damage at the same time. But also, we're going to be making use of Focus Blast, which is a very powerful fighting type special move that will definitely benefit from the accuracy boost that Claw Sharpen gives you. And then lastly, Shadow Claw as your physical attacking move. And obviously, it's a ghost type, so it's very useful against, obviously, ghosts and psychic types. And it gives you really good coverage along with Focus Blast and Fire Blast or Purgatory. So it's a pretty well-rounded set in terms of attacking types and can prove to be very powerful. As for this next set, it's going to be a pretty decent cursing set. So first we're going to give Kuitaran a sassy nature to increase its special defense but lower its speed. And then this time we're going to be using the ability Flash Fire just to give you immunity to fire type moves and also make your one fire type move in the set more powerful. As for the EVs, we're going to put 252 into HP to give you max HP, 4 into special attack for 1 point for that, and then 252 into special defense to give you your max special defense possible. And as for the item, this time we're going to be going with leftovers so we can recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn. As for the moves, since we are a cursing set, the first one's obviously going to be Curse, because we're going to be wanting to use it to increase our physical attack, physical defense. And it also has the side effect of lowering speed, but that doesn't really matter in this case since we're using a sassy nature which lowers speed anyways, and this Pokemon's base speed isn't incredibly amazing to begin with. But with this, we're going to be first making use of Flamethrower, which might seem weird because we're using a cursing set to boost our physical attack, but Flamethrower actually kind of makes sense because Kuitaran unfortunately does not learn Fire Punch, or Nitro Charge, or Fire Fang. Or Flare Blitz, so pretty much, actually Flame Wheel's the other physical fire move. So it doesn't learn any physical fire moves. But the good thing about having Flamethrower is that it can burn, making your boosted defense by Curse that much more useful, and also it will get a Flash Fire boost, so even though you're not putting really any EVs into special attack, it can still be a powerful special attacking move because of the fact that you might get a Flash Fire boost, and this Pokemon just has a naturally high special attack. But with the plus attacks that we're getting from Curse, we're going to make use of a combination of Return and Sucker Punch, which are pretty cool, especially Sucker Punch since you have low speed, so having a priority move is always great, because obviously that negates the horrible speed you have, even though Sucker Punch fails when your opponent doesn't use an attacking move. But Return is also there as a way to deal decent damage to anything that doesn't resist it, which is only Steel and Rock types and Ghost types. But obviously Sucker Punch can cover the Ghost type weakness, and Flamethrower can cover the Steel type. So really it's like Ground and Rock types that you're really going to have a problem with this. Not because Ground resists any of your moves, but just because you have nothing super effective against it. Unless it's typed with something else, then you do have a super effective move to use. But that's the only problem with this set, really, and obviously, since you are setting up, you're always prone to Toxic Poison or, Toxic. So that's always something to be careful of and hope that you aren't inflicted with any kind of poison while trying to set up with Curse. So as for this last set, we have a Pressure Trapping set. So first we're going to give Kuitaran a Bold Nature or a Calm Nature. Bold increases physical defense, Calm increases special defense, but I'll talk more about those different uses in a second. But as for the ability, we're going to go with Flash Fire again this time, even though White Smoke might seem like a better option because it prevents any stat drops, but because you get an immunity with Flash Fire, it seemed like the better option to me. And as for the EVs, we're going to put 252 into HP to give you max HP, 128 into physical defense, and then 128 into special defense to give you some nice mixed bulk. And for the item, we're going to be using, obviously, a pressure band, since this is a pressure trapping set, and it will allow us to do as much damage as possible with our trapping moves. As for those moves, Kuitaran actually learns Fire Spin, Wrap, and Bind. I didn't put Bind on there, though, because Bind and Wrap are essentially the same move. But the reason they're both listed is because they both kind of have their advantages and disadvantages. The reason why you would use Fire Spin over Wrap is because you're able to hit ghost types, but for Wrap you're able to hit things that have Flash Fire. So it's really up to you which one you want to make use of. Just be aware that Shandera with Flash Fire completely makes this set garbage because it resists, or it's immune to both fire and normal type moves like Wrap. As for the status-inducing moves that we're going to be using after they're trapped, though, we could either make use of Toxic or Will-O-Wisp. Toxic is probably the better option in the long run because it'll allow your opponent to take more damage than Will-O-Wisp will, and also allow them to get increased damage at the end of every turn, thus making them kind of useless because of the fact that their HP will be incredibly low. But the reason you could use Will-O-Wisp is to allow this Pokemon to be more defensive. And that's the reason why, since I was going to talk more about the Bold or Calm Nature, basically since Bold increases your physical defense, you wouldn't really want to be using it on a set with Will-O-Wisp because Will-O-Wisp will lower your opponent's physical attack, thus making them not really able to hurt you. So you would want to go with a Calm Nature in that case to boost your special defense. But for Toxic, either one's game. And then with these stat-inducing and trapping moves, you're going to be using Stockpile as a way to increase your defense, hopefully by +3 in both the physical and special defense, making you very difficult to take down. And then lastly, we're going to be making use of Rest as a way to recover up all your HP and remove any statuses and make you, again, very difficult to take down, especially after you've stockpiled a bunch. So this is a pretty unique trapping set compared to other ones I've made, I guess, which is cool and makes Kuitaran very versatile in what it can do. But personally, I like the first set in this video best, but that's just my opinion. But that's it. So take care, guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.